Hey, you all out there in La La Land. This is Ray Bly for U.S. Congress District 7 here in the great area of Baltimore City. A boy that grew up in D.C. and a lot of times the bad part of the city, sometimes in the suburbs out to Tacoma Park, Hyattsville, etc., which wasn't much better back in the 50s and 60s. But let me tell you something. I'm tired of hearing, and I'm tired of seeing you all vote. How many decades have Democrats been in control of all these big cities? How many times did they rule Congress also? And their famous saying is, it didn't work because we didn't have enough money. We need more money, it will work. So you vote them back into office, let them raise your taxes, they throw more money at it, and it still doesn't work. This is 2022 and we still have 20 schools in Baltimore City, I've been told. It could be plus or minus that by a couple, that don't have air conditioning, so we have to release the kids early. And then other ones in the winter, they have to let them out early because the heating systems break down and the classes are overloaded because they keep closing schools so they don't have to spend as much money. Up there's my coffee. I'll be right back. I'm coming back for the tape. This is what the Democrats do constantly. Say if we had more money, it would fix the problem. No. If you make people do their job, like teachers, make smaller classrooms, and make sure to fire the teacher if the kids don't learn, that would work. But we just keep throwing money. For 50 years now. In fact, in the 50s, the ghetto schools I went to wasn't worth a damn. They didn't care. And then they started the teachers union and stuff that want to indoctrinate our kids. You blacks ain't worth anything. You're victims. You never make anything out of yourself. You whites, you're privileged. And we're both sitting in the ghetto, looking for food, looking for clothes to wear, because ours is rotten and falling off and torn up and unwashed. We gotta stop listening to all this rhetoric about racism and stop hating each other and start working together like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X tried to do. For all of us to rise up, demand equal. Well, why should it be equal? You don't pay very much taxes, so your schools don't get very much money. Where the suburbs can have the best of everything because they're rich people paying a lot more taxes than you. Is that fair? In a way, but I don't approve of it. That's why I believe in vouchers. Let's break this teacher's control over us and our kids. Make them teach. Make them do their job. but give them a lot smaller classes, maybe 15 kids, 20 kids by high school. And at elementary school, maybe drop it to 5 or 10 kids so they don't get behind. They learn how to read, they learn how to speak, they learn how to spell, and they can count. Take away the electronics. Teach them to use their mind first. Because when they're that age, the more you make them use their mind, the more connections can be made, so the more they can learn when they get older. Don't segregate the kids by color, saying these are privileged, these are disadvantaged, these over here shouldn't be in our country, etc., etc. Stop causing hate. It's perpetrated by our government officials, mostly elected officials, because, my God, they would lose the power and the influence they have if we rose up and saw the truth about most of them. I love the Republicans. I'm for the Second Amendment. But we do need more extensive background checks. Well, the Second Amendment said the government couldn't interfere in any way, shape, or form with gun ownership. The only thing they can interfere with is laws that if you use it illegally, there's extreme penalties for it. Not to have all these licensing, not to have all the, count the bullets you have in your home, the magazines, or anything else, or what kind of gun. The AR-15 is like the M16, worthless as hell. Because I'm a Vietnam veteran. Oh, it's lightweight. The bullets are so light. You can carry hundreds of bullets, thousands of bullets, and clips. But when you're shooting green peas, which is about the size of the bullet, the size of a green pea, little tiny things, it takes a lot of them to take the enemy down, I've been told by other people in the military. I was lucky, I drove a truck. I got shot at. I had a lot of things happen around me, but I stepped on the gas and got the hell out of there. At night, being a supply driver, we lived by the ammo dump and the supply dump, so they rocketed and mortared us, trying to blow us up. When you started hearing the whistling of the rockets coming in, you ran for the bunker. So I never shot my gun, thank God. I probably wouldn't have lived with myself if I had to actually hurt somebody. But you Democrats, stop listening to the status quo. It failed because we didn't put enough money in it. And you Republicans, stop listening to these rhino and leftist Republicans that even the NRA, we need background checks, we need mental checks, we need this check, we need that check. You have to have a license to march, you have to have a license to speak, you have to have a license for this, you gotta have. Do we have the 10 Commandments if you don't have the money and the power and the influence? No. Is the justice system fair? When a family can make almost $500,000 a year off pay and investments and still put a GoFundMe account up because they can't afford a lawyer? I'm talking about the Mosbys. How in the hell can you and me afford a lawyer? Even a halfway decent lawyer. And overzealous prosecutors that want to nail your ass if they don't like your color or religion, but they want to let other people go free for committing crimes because of their color or their religion. calling it equity, until we stop all this rhetoric and stand up together as one to bring back vote tech, to bring back make school vouchers that you can even cross the city line out into the county or a county line into the next county. If they have room, they have to take your voucher. You'll have transportation problems then, but if there's a bus route, they should give you also a voucher to take a city bus or a county bus out to the school. We need to care about our kids. They're our future. And until we stop listening to the lies of the Democrats, it failed because we didn't put enough money. But next time we'll put more money and it'll work. 20 elections in a row they keep saying this, and it keeps failing. Or the Republicans saying, okay, we can strip this right and that right of our Bill of Rights. And our judges, they can't read the Constitution and could care less about our state constitution or the federal one or anybody's rights until we make them pay. If you're in the military, you pay. Once you say, I swear to defend the Constitution against foreign enemies and domestic enemies, they hold you to it. We got to hold people that work in law enforcement, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, and elected officials above them that rule their office, that is put in charge of their offices. We have to make prosecutors, judges, even lawyers swear an oath. Your lawyer is considered an officer of the court and swears an oath. And they ignore it. I'm only one person, but I don't shut up. If you've seen me, I've been picketing my illegal criminal conviction for 35 years, disrupting the courthouse here in Howard County as best I can. I'm not allowed to go and say something about a particular class of people, but when I start telling, where's the DNA, where's the fingerprints, where's the eyewitnesses, all this other stuff before you should convict. And you should tell the truth, which the court don't let you do all the time. He's raped 5 little girls and served time for it. Oh, that would be too abusive to his rights to let in, just because he's in court for raping another little 5-year-old girl. We hide so much from the juries too. They can't really make a rational decision because judges over time say, well, that's too prejudiced to the defendant. That's too prejudiced to the prosecution. I've just decided not to let it in for the hell of it. So we don't hear all the sides, all the facts. If you're a juror, to actually make a decision in a case. And here in Maryland, you're not allowed to ask people on the stand questions. A lot of states, besides both the prosecutor and defense attorney can ask witnesses statements, the jury can raise their hand and hand the judge a question that they want asked. And the judge will ask it if it's reasonable. And the witness has to answer. So juries can inquire in a lot of states. Ours, no. It's not a fair justice system. The judge ain't blindfolded. He's bigoted, biased, and king of the hill when he's sitting on that bench, and he don't give a damn as what he feels like doing that day if he shows up mad. I remember some black judges using the N-word in court in Baltimore City against black defendants, cussing them out for disgracing their race. Hateful words. I know some white judges that put people in jail just because they're black without any evidence. Because of racism, biases, bigotry. We all have it. Not racism necessarily, but we all have our own biases and bigotry depending on life experiences. When you go July 19th, or if you early vote, remember, Ray Bly for U.S. Congress District 7. I'm a nationalist. America first. I'm not a 100% Trumper. I'm about a 50-50 Trumper. And he's done more in this country than any other president in my lifetime except Nixon, which was a great president, which ended the Vietnam War with a peace treaty that opened the doors to China so we knew what our enemy was doing by changing embassies there and trade with them. He didn't know they were going to screw us eventually with undercutting our prices to put our companies out of business. I'm for clean air, clean water, clean environment. Why don't we pass laws that if you pollute, you don't sell here in the USA, instead of making more and more clean air laws to put our companies out of business, like our oil industry, our coal industry. We have a lot of cleaners, a lot of scrubbers, a lot of filters. We produce the cleanest coal burning of the world. Our processing oil and everything else we do is the cleanest in the world. But we put our businesses out and buy stuff from companies like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Russia that don't give a damn about polluting the world when they get the materials out we need, like coal or oil or natural gas. They destroy the earth. Or China, or India, with all of these big factories polluting like hell with no scrubbers, no filters, and letting all this filthy water run into the rivers and creeks. You want to, if you think of climate change, but I think it's a lie, but we do have global pollution, and put a federal law. Nobody can import anything from a foreign company unless it's accepted by our EPA as mostly clean. You'd bet their life they would clean up real quick and stop polluting. Even American companies move overseas or move to Mexico and pollute like hell because they can make twice as much money in their pocket making the cars. I'm a realist. And why I don't believe in climate change is because we're going to freeze to death. Oh, wait a minute, that was a couple of decades ago. We were going to starve to death over population. Oh, that was a couple of decades ago. Global warming. Oh, that's recent. That's the last decade before climate change. We're all going to die from the bird flu. Or we're all going to be blown up with nuclear attack. It's one thing after another. The governments of the world, and including ours, right here in the USA, likes to keep the public scared to death. As long as you have them scared of something like this, you can keep them under control.